if they do that, they're going to be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Wilson! Oh! And we are tied!
Let's go! Call them Bryce Beall.
And I don't ever let them forget where we come from.
Getting those phones out before me acting ignorant.
Zion Kris got his way through, and he may go! Kris is in! Houston leads out of nowhere!
Seventh heaven for Houston. The Cougars advance to their seventh Final Four.
Go Cougs! Let's go! It's so good! The dream remains alive for the Houston Cougars!
Welcome in to another edition of Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family. We're coming off the heels of Houston Cougars football's 31-24 victory over the Baylor Bears. Houston ends the season 9-3 on the year. They finished with a 6-3 record against Big 12 opponents in conference play. The first time in the 3 seasons that Houston has been a member of the Big 12 conference that they finished with a winning record in the league, and they do so by beating a interstate rival in the Baylor Bears. We'll talk all about the victory in a second, but joining me as always here on Let's Rage Coogs, Kris Gardner of the Houston Round Bar Review. Kris, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Andy, my man. How are you? Happy 2 days after Thanksgiving to you and everybody watching here on LRC.
Yes, sir. I'm doing great as well. Real quickly, Kris, before we get into it, I forgot. Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family. Of course, we have to say thank you to our sponsors, beginning with Steve Saxenian, who's the primary sponsor not only of this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, but has done so each and every single regular season episode this year for football postgame shows. Does it for men's basketball shows as well. Of course, we also like to say thank you to Star Pizza with multiple locations throughout the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Check them out online at starpizza.net and on social media, Star Pizza HOU on X, Star Pizza Houston, Texas on Instagram. And with a game like this, you build up some appetite for some Star Pizza after a win like that, and especially after having a Thanksgiving leftovers the last few days, you could use some Star Pizza after a victory like this. All right, Kris, let's get into it. Like I said, Houston came away with the 31-24 victory. They were up 24-9 at one point, and Baylor made a rally in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, Houston drove down the field. They got the score at the end, and then they got the turnover on downs, and they were able to pick up the first down to completely kill the clock. Far from pretty, but at the end of the day, winning's winning. And again, 9-3 overall, 6-3 conference play, and I think the most impressive feat, 6-0 on the road in 2025.
This team is a mystery, Andy. I think this coaching staff is a mystery. 6-0 on the road, 3-3 at home. 2 of those 3 losses at home make you just like, ooh, they pew. They kind of stunk in the performance and the play calling. Equalizer, I see your comment. I kind of disagree. The Cougs went for it 5 times on 4th down today.
The only conservative call is when they punted from their own 35-yard line. That was the only. And I could see it because at that point, the defense had played so well. And obviously coming off of last week when Ethan Sanchez missed 2 field goals, that would have been about a 49, 50-yard field goal. So why risk it? But yeah, you're absolutely right, Kris. I feel like they were aggressive play calling wise. They were the opposite of what they were a week ago, and especially on that last drive against TCU and the conservativeness that they had, it completely night and day difference from the coaching staff, in my opinion.
And they got to fix that. They got to figure that out. They seem to be more aggressive on the road this year than they were at home in their play calls. Now, I kind of thought that the fast start, they were more aggressive in their play calling, and they kind of dialed it back a little bit. But then again, they went for it 5 times on 4th down. The 4th one, when they were up by 7, I thought they should have punted.
Yeah.
But the call was okay. Amari Thomas should have caught it.
Yeah.
Okay. The ball hit his hands. As a legit receiver, you're a big-time player. If any go-to receiver will tell you, if it touches my hands, I should have caught it. And then the 4th down, the next drive, he had a tougher catch, and he caught that one. So, but yeah, I would have punted on that one. Didn't get it. Baylor tied it up on a 4th down. It was an interesting game. I'm glad the Cougs won. They're 9-3. Looking at some bold projections, whatever. One has them here in the Texas Bowl, and one has them in San Antonio in the Alamo Bowl. But the going bowling, there are things that they need to work on and get better. But be honest, everybody watching LRC on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, how many of you thought they'd be 9-3? Be honest. How many of you? Because I know I didn't.
That was a high watermark.
I said
those were the high-end predictions.
But how many of y'all thought 9-3?
No, I think by any stretch is based on where they were at the beginning of the season to where based on the preseason predictions, right? I think Vegas had their win total at what was it, 4.5, 5 wins to begin the year. So they blew past that watermark. They finished 6-3 in conference play, and this is where expectations coming off, especially last week, and they lost three losses in the Big 12 conference play. 2 of those 3 losses came obviously last week to TCU and then to West Virginia, who just absolutely got dominated by Texas Tech today in at home. Those are the 2 losses that sting to think about. Wow, how it feels like they let those 2 games slip away. Bad losses, both at home, by the way, I might add, and both coming off the first time that Houston had been ranked. The first one, West Virginia, when Houston had been ranked in the AP poll for the first time since 2022, and then obviously TCU, the loss coming off the heels of them getting ranked in the CFP rankings for the first time, and that's what really made those losses sting much more. But when you take it into perspective and look at the whole year as a whole, I definitely think you have to see it as not only a successful season, but quite frankly, it's still a year where they exceeded expectations, definitely that they had in the preseason. And there's a lot to build on. There's a lot to clean up. First and foremost, is they got to be better at home. 3-3 record at home is just not going to cut it if you want to be a top tier program in the Big 12 conference, and eventually nationally speaking as well.
And that is the stated goal. Now they have to improve the talent on both sides of the ball. The offensive line needs to get better. It improved as the season progressed. But one play call I don't like is the reverses in the backfield where they are asking the wide receiver or the tight end to block on the edge. Throw that in the trash. Because or improve the blocking from the wide receiver and the tight end. Because when that play works, when the play is called, it hasn't worked throughout this season. It's resulted in a loss of yardage. I mean, today, Makai Music pitched it to him, running to the right side. Receiver missed the block, was beaten inside. Play was blowing up. I mean, get rid of that play.
That was ugly. Like that play had no chance. It was like
no chance.
6 Baylor birds in the backfield.
Yeah, no chance on that one. But hey, 6-6 for me was this season. 75, Joe Mendez says, and this is the talent level on this year's team should not be as good as the talent level on next year's team. Now, the expectations should be raised because the O-line should be better. You should have better talent on both sides of the ball. Now, you got to retain some of this talent. Let's be honest about that, too. Let's keep it real. Houston Athletics is not Texas, is not Texas A&M, is not Texas Tech with these deep pockets and these huge financial backers and all those things. You can talk about, what about the salary cap? Yeah, it's nice in theory, but let's see that them enforce it when someone from another program comes calling with a bigger,
especially the NIL. The NIL deals, they are outside of the program. Like we've talked about off air about different players, right? Those off air deals could make or break. And right now, UH, when it comes to NIL, they do not have those off the table deals in terms of NIL that don't necessarily count for that payroll, that cap that you were mentioning.
The new window for the transfer portal, if it's approved, basically is in January, after pretty much most of the bowl season. But so that's good. So you shouldn't have too much of defections with guys leaving during December and with bowls, playing for a bowl game and opting out, all that kind of stuff. You probably still will have some. But as Mark says, well coached, disciplined, they're competitive. And that's what makes it really so more disappointing is the gargantuan-sized eggs they laid at home against West Virginia and TCU. West Virginia especially.
Because
that was just a crap performance.
Yeah.
They win that game at 10-2. Texas Tech is better than Houston. We agree with that. And if any Red Raider fans are watching and tuning in, or you're not, we acknowledge that. And good luck to you in the CFP. Represent the Big 12 well. But to be top tier, they have to improve both sides of the ball. Hell, improve special teams.
Oh, yeah. They did not have a good end to the season.
Because the kick coverage has gotten worse.
Especially
that needs to be improved.
It seemed like a lot of times Baylor was starting 30, 40, even in plus territory multiple times throughout the game. And give credit to the defense because UH's defense, for the most part, they were able to not allow Baylor to convert it into touchdowns and force them to settle for field goals or just get on point-blank stops. But, yeah, that was multiple times when Baylor had great starting field position off kickoffs.
Yeah, and that special teams return coverage could improve with better talent because you have more athletes on those punt and kickoff return teams. So that could be an area improvement as well. Talent level will help. The coaching staff needs to figure out their issues within themselves when it comes to play calling because, as you said, and Darren said it last week on the LRSC, two of their worst performances, not only were they at home, they were after the Cougars were ranked.
Yeah.
So you got to fix. Being ranked is nice, but being ranked should be expected. So, okay, you're ranked 25, 24. That's nice. The objective is to be ranked in the top 10 and be ranked in the top 12 of the CFP. That's the objective. So none of these land your eggs being happy and being content because you ranked 25th. Whoop-de-damn-do. The objective is to win the conference championship and ultimately to compete for a national title. Not coming out, hey, the marketing, that's their job. To tell the media, tell the fans, the Houston Cougars are ranked in the top 25 this week for the first time. Okay, that's nice. The coaches to tell the players, that doesn't mean tell the players and then show the players.
That number don't mean nothing.
It means nothing. We're going to go out. We're going to coach hard. We're going to coach you guys aggressive. We're going to be aggressive, and we're going to kick this team's butt and get better in the rankings and move up and keep moving up and keep moving up. That's the objective.
That's the difference between the middle of the pack team and the top tier teams. And again, not to keep harping too much on the what ifs, but imagine if they do take care of business against West Virginia and against TCU. They're sitting at 11-1, one loss in conference play against, like you mentioned, a team that hats off. They clearly were head and shoulders better than U of H when they played at TDCU Stadium in Texas Tech. But I'd be curious to see where they would be in the mix. If they were to take care of business against two teams that really had no business beating you again at home. On top of that, and that's where you're going to separate yourself. Whether they've been here before, they've been 9-3. Well, actually, according to GoCougs.com, they tweeted it out. Where I guess apparently this is the 7th time since 1995. I need to go back and find the tweet. I think Ryan tweeted out something like that. So maybe this is a little bit of not uncharted territory, but not familiar territory. But again, what we hear from the messaging, ultimately what we hear from Willie Fritz and what the expectation should be for U of H is to be, why can't they be those 11-1 team year in and year out? Shoot, why can't they even be better than that, competing for not only for the Big 12 championship, but for a spot in the CFP year in and year out? Like, that's the goal. That's what the vision should be for this program. Right. In order for them to get into that stratosphere, into that league, they cannot afford to drop games against West Virginia, against TCU like they did this season. Granted, all things considered, still is a very, very successful regular season. We'll see who they end up playing in the bowl game, and hopefully they are able to beat that opponent and get to 10 wins, which should be a good notch, a good mark. But now comes expectations. Next year I wouldn't be surprised if they're ranked in the top 25 to begin the 2026 season. And they're going to have to be able to not only, they're going to have a target on their back, especially in Big 12 conference play. They're not going to be like the little engine they could, like they were in previous years, certainly last year whenever they were just abysmal on offense. But now they're going to have to be able to not only have those expectations, but meet them and exceed them again. They can't be satisfied with just a 9-3 season and then start back from square one. Which, when we think back 4 years ago when they were 11-1, lost to Cincinnati in the American Athletic Conference championship game, they ended the season top 25, and then the following year there was a lot of buzz around them, and they just did not meet those expectations. They finished 8-4. It was not it wasn't a bad year, but definitely didn't meet expectations the following year. They can't afford to take that step back next season, especially with the level of recruits that are coming in. We hear about the class of 2026, highly touted. Hopefully they get a good additions in the transfer portal, and they're going to lose players. And I think right now we're talking about candidates to potentially, hopefully he is back, but Amari Thomas, he's going to get hounded by these programs because he showed that he is, one of those top tier receivers in all of college football. And, he's going to be a junior. He's got one more year of eligibility. I wouldn't be surprised if he enters his name into the NFL draft unless, sees what's out there. But I know for a fact that these top tier programs are going to come after him, and Houston's going to have to, first, hopefully they can keep him, but they're going to have to, they're going to lose a lot of players from this year's team. They're going to have to be able to make up for it and just keep the level that they've set, the new standard that they've set.
It's a new standard. It's a new standard of expectations, and they have to. The athletic department has to meet it. The alums who have money have to meet it. And 9-3 and going to a bowl should be the baseline going forward.
The standard
is the standard. That should be the baseline. Then we're going to compete for conference championships, and then it's to compete for the national championship. Dan has not met our colleague Andy Willie Gibson, but Willie Gibson would roll his eyes when we talk about 9-3 in a December bowl game. And Willie Gibson joins me on Folks Talking Sports on Sundays. Willie's like 9-3.
Damn. I agree with Willie. To me,
he's right.
I agree. To me, it's the same thing like celebrating Final Four, putting up banners and stuff like that. We're celebrating second place. Now, I'm not saying you don't acknowledge it. We acknowledge it just like that. We acknowledge 9-3. We acknowledge the growth. We acknowledge the success within that. But I'm like Willie in that sense. It sounds like we celebrate championships.
Yeah.
We don't. I mean, it's okay to. I'm not saying we don't acknowledge it, but to the extent of putting it like, well, I'm going to say with basketball because they put the Final Four banners, and to me, only in my opinion, I like Willie. I like 9-3. Yeah, it's good, but I mean, where's the championship? So that should be the standard,
right?
And
because point blank, the Cougs did not win the conference championship.
You're right.
They didn't even play in the game.
They're not playing in the bowl game, so there's no banner. They could have. We touched on that, brother. How your thoughts on it? 6-0 on the road, 3-3 at home, and 2 of those 3 losses were just crap performances. What needs to change to improve at home?
Something got to change, and I think you got to protect home field. I mean, that's number one. You want to play well on the road. You definitely. I mean, you can't underestimate. I mean, you can't undermine winning on the road, being undefeated on the road. I mean, I got to tip my hat to that. But at the same time, home field, if it's not a home field advantage, it is what it is. You still got to protect home field and be better at home. It seems just from watching it, it's lackadaisical at home, not really a sense of urgency at home. And that has to be better. I think Amari Thomas should win the Big 12 Receiver of the Year. Should be in the running for the Biletnikoff Award because he had a great season. I caught the tail end of trying to find money to retain him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out, tests his draft stock, hires agents, or whatever that process is. I know it's different from basketball, but you got to be better at home. I think you got to find ways to motivate at home, whether it's the crowd, whatever it is. The product at home has to be better because if you lose one game at home, 2 of those games is when you ranked and you put the worst performances of the season at home. That's not something to hang your hat on. That's something we got to go to the drawing board and really, really figure out ways to do that. And I think different ways to market is actually market players, market Coach Fritz, and we got to find ways to market characters and build that versus just the normal way of how we've been marketing.
But do you think that the coach's play calling was more aggressive on the road than at home this year?
Especially today. Definitely was today. I mean, go for them fourth down on numerous of times, especially in your own field. It definitely was today. I think it was similar than it was, but I think it's just per game. So I'm thinking back to Oregon State. It was the same way it's been all year, but once we got down and we had to have it, we had to pass, we became a little bit more aggressive. And so today it was, but other than that, I think it was pretty much the same. I just think our execution and our slow starts at home really, really plagued us, and this the lack of just energy. It didn't seem right with like a energy to excitement to come out of the win. So I know there's a lot of different factors that play into it, but play calling, even at home, has to be more aggressive. I won't say it's more aggressive on the road, but like we talked about last week, it has to be more aggressive. And that's how you can sustain or even implement a culture of aggression at home, particularly.
And Andy touched on it. Your thoughts on this? We think the Cougs will be ranked in the preseason top 25. You agree?
I think it's all about what we retain. What we
Okay,
retain
fair.
or what we lose.
But let's be
I
positive.
think.
And majority of the star players are retained.
If they retain, I think we'll be ranked. I think just watching and now seeing how we close out today, I think we're like that second tier, a Big 12 team, and can be right there in the tier one. This is just year two under Coach Fritz, and I think iron out a few more kinks. I think we are ready right there to compete for a Big 12 championship. So I think taking all into consideration, we went to bed twice at home. I think we will come in ranked. I think we'll come in ranked, especially with some of the recruits we have. I expect even more recruits to join us. I think we'll come in ranked.
Now, saying that, how soon should marketing begin promoting next season?
Yesterday.
Thank you.
I mean, yesterday. And I think just the way of marketing has to be different. We've dropped the ball on marketing Coach Fritz big time, from behind the scenes cameras to shirts with his isms that he say, just building him as a character first, and then going throughout the entire roster. I mean, from quarterbacks you got coming in, I mean, he already got like a hashtag key to the city. You can market there. You can market Amari Thomas. You can market so many ways. We got to market players, especially from the city, to build their brands and to build their little fan bases to hopefully it blows up. And so I think marketing has to find different ways to market in the same. It's been the same. I mean, has it been different? Same videos, same type videos, the same type of everything. I mean, it's different in the sense they get more gear out and different things like that. But I'm talking about reaching a younger demographic on social media, YouTube. They just now starting to do YouTube consistently. And so it's so many different ways that they can pick up and do differently. I think they got to really look into it or hire me. I come in with the ideas and I have the experience to be able to do it. Let me lead the ship, and I promise I can change it.
And this statement has been brought up before about football needs of Lawrence Sampson. I don't cover football.
They need me. Trust me.
Okay, fair. Because
basketball is easy. Basketball can do a lot more too.
Agreed.
Basketball is lucky they saved by the success that they've had. If they weren't as successful, and they still don't draw a big crowd. They could do a lot more too. Basketball is not excluded from this at all. At all. They just lucky they've had the success that they've had.
Because football and basketball, UH Athletics does not do
athletics.
A great job marketing to its students and its young alums and meeting them.
We need pep rallies.
Because I'm going to say this, it's selfish for me to say it, but I'm going to say it. And if Andy, Dayon, me, whatever, want to make a reel out of it, please do. They need to connect with us. Let's Rage Coogs. They need to reach us, partner with us, have more of the players part of our shows, have us do Instagram and YouTube reels, and have them talk about who they are and their brands and and work with them. What you got going on in your world on this and this and what time is the game, and invite fans to come to the game and all those things. Because Let's Rage Coogs is what, gentlemen? The
original Houston post-game show.
Houston post-game show. We are still growing in numbers and growing in platforms and growing in reach. So it seems to me to make sense to partner with us and work with us to help you reach a younger demographic. Reach
And
the
not only
guys
that,
Andy Yanez age, not my age.
No. Your age too, Chris, because that's what makes us so better. We can reach different generations of Cougs. Your generation, you have a great, outstanding. Since when? 1994. That reach that you have since then matters, and be able to reach your generation to my generation to Andy's generation. All that ties in together on why you partner with Let's Raise Cougs. They've been having the same voices inside primarily the athletic communications department. I was a student worker there. I've seen 4 to 5 people who ran the athletic video department since I was a student. And they've all pretty much came in and did the same exact thing, just with a different person leading the way. I promise, with a new innovative ideas and new ways to open up more visibility to the program. People want to go to YouTube and see these type of things, but you have the same voices who've been in the same meetings, just hiring different people, but they're doing the same things and it's generating the same results. That's why I said basketball isn't excluded, because they've been doing the same thing too, but they just been saved by the success that they've been having. And so, Chris, we need your age group. We need Andy's there. Like, we're all different, and we all have different people that we can reach. And I think that's what makes us the original post game show is even much better.
And there we could have behind the scenes, right? We could have a lot of kind of like, not, it doesn't even have to be full blown mini doc series, but just stuff. Fans love that behind the scenes stuff. And there's so much more, even during thinking about football training camp, having like a little mini series on players, a day in the life of a player in training camp, different ideas like that, where, like Dayon said, you can promote it on YouTube and get that views, and that's how you garner and you build a brand not only for your program, but for the individual players. So much that can be there's so much on the table here, not to use an analogy of Thanksgiving, but there's still so much food left on the table that they're not taking advantage of.
And this is Joe, right? Joe said, yeah, Joe, winning will help. Winning championship will help, yes, especially the Fairweather fans in the city and the Fairweather alums as well. But what Dayon is saying, and I think what the majority of us who are part of Let's Rage Coogs shows, is getting back to what Andy just said. They're leaving so much on the table because you're not going to win all the time. It would be great. That's the goal. The goal is to be like Ohio State every year, to be the flag bearer of Big 12 football every year. No shade to Texas Tech, but the goal is to be better than Texas Tech. The goal is to be the top dog in football in Big 12 every year. Everybody knows it. Everyone nationally knows it. Well, you know who's team to beat. That's Cougs. That's the goal. But to reach the folks who don't watch football all the time, you got to give them a hook, get them interested in what's going on, and get them saying, hey, I saw Dayon talking to QBX on YouTube. There's a great story, and then they got a game coming up. I'm going to the game. That's what they got to do. I saw Andy talk to so-and-so on the coaching staff. That was a great interview. He said he's working on a charity organization, blah, 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 and saying the game's coming up on Saturday. I'm going to the game. I saw Chris talk to so-and-so. Great job. I'm going to the game. They got to reach those folks too. Winning is the ultimate deodorant. Mm-hmm. But if it still stinks, it still stinks.
And Andy said it right. I think it's the illusion of behind the scenes, because I know they probably have this mindset, I want to keep everything in house. So you can still be able to do that, but it could be one sentence of behind the scenes of something at practice that they ain't seen. It could be something that it's so many different elements that you can show a small clippet of behind the scenes that could be marketable, that they're just dropping the ball on. I mean, you just it's so much that they could do, but just that illusion of behind the scenes. We see so, like, I could give another example for basketball. We see every year how they're out on the baseball field, right? Mm-hmm. But just think of what Coach Bishop says to them before they get up. Like, it's small pieces that you can add to that build to market Coach Bishop. Like, it's so many things that we could do um, marketing wise with the illusion of showing more. And really, it's only a small clip, but it brings fans like, dang, now I want to see even more. Now what they doing more and more and more. And we can't keep doing the same things.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very small sample size, but the 1 year that I did for Gallery Sports, and I was able to, travel around the country whenever there were road games, and the main thing that really built up the Potsdam Pajama brand is those behind it. It could be as simple as warm ups. Just literally the warm ups were the things that people love the most. Having that extra insight, they want to get beyond just typical press conference, typical box score, typical, stuff that you can get on a regular broadcast. I think that's one of the reasons why the TNT broadcast for Big 12 has been so successful this year, because they go so much in depth, right? They feature the two. It makes it feel special whatever the two teams are that week. They go in depth. They have stories. They tell stories about the individual players, the coaches, the staff. And that's something that UH could do it on a much more smaller scale in-house and with the smaller sports too. And there's so much that they
I mean,
can
think
continue to
Carl
do.
Lewis. I mean, we got Carl Lewis, and just think about that. Man, there's so many ideas that I have that we could do. They need to hire me. Make the call. Make the call.
I mean, because they could do less Rage Coogs with Houston athletics. Football, basketball, baseball, softball, track, swimming and diving, tennis, golf. I mean, work with us and we can grow together. Because we do have different people, different generations watching this show. And we do have different people telling us at games, hell, sometimes in the store, hey, man, I saw you on the show, blah, 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 blah. Great job, man. Great job. You guys doing a great job. I love what you're doing. But TNT, I love TNT. I checked before the game was over. Only have 13 football games, Big 12 football
Sorry, I
games.
just realized I had some
on
Baylor
TNT.
green on. I had to take that off. My bad, guys.
I didn't even know. But the Big 12 football deal with TNT Sports is 13 football games for the next 6 years, 5 more years now. That's a great deal. I wish there were more football games on TNT, because it's easier for people to watch. I think the conference needs to tie in more with TNT and Turner Sports. Men's basketball games, I think it's like 8 conference games would be on TNT, because the majority of them are going to be on the ESPN family of networks. Well, you got Big 12 women's basketball. You got TCU women's basketball, got star player. One of the top players in the country. It'd be nice if they were on TNT more to promote and grow the conference. But I think a lot of folks enjoy the coverage of TNT and Big 12, but it's over now. Football season for TNT is over. And it's not that much Big 12 basketball for the rest of the season, unfortunately.
I don't know how much what the contract looks like, but if I was Brett Yormark, I'd want to go back to the negotiating table and see if we could add more to the I don't know how realistic that is. I'm sure there's a lot of legal jargon and stuff like that, but if possible, I would love. There was a comment that was brought up by NM on YouTube. TNT doubleheaders on Saturdays. That'd be great. Plus, right now, the TNT is kind of, they're kind of looking to stay afloat in the sports realm after they lost the NBA, right? So I think it'd be a perfect partnership for both. And again, the Big 12 conference is front stage and center. It's not like ESPN and even Fox, where their main guys are the SEC and the Big 10,
right, and the ACC to a lesser extent. But the contract, the Big East family, get ready for Big East basketball on TNT. And it's going to kick into high gear, especially conference play. The agreement that the Big East has with Turner Sports is nearly 60 games. Big East games will be on TNT for basketball.
That's great for the Big East.
Now, of course, Big 12 basketball, especially on the men's side, will be on ESPN and ABC and ESPN2. So it's pretty much taken care of. But it will be nice to have no games I mean, I have ESPN Plus, or what is now ESPN, whatever it's called now. If none of those games are on ESPN Plus, whatever the hell it is now, and all those games are on TNT. Because there's still a handful of, I think there might have been one football game on today, Big 12 game, that was on ESPN Plus. So I'm not sure how long the contract is with ESPN for those remaining games that are on ESPN Plus. But if Commissioner Yormark can get all of those games removed from ESPN Plus and put on Turner Sports to have double hitters, you just have Big 12 Saturday on TNT from 11 to hell, have them all day if you could, up until the primetime game, whatever the late game is for ESPN and Big 12, whatever was it, 9:45 or 8:45 for BYU football. But if you have Big 12 football all day long on Turner Sports, I think fans will love that. Now, we have to start watching those games to boost those numbers. So that's on us too. But the inside studios, look, the pregame shows, the Big 12 Uncovered show was good. It's a good start.
I agree. I think it's a good start. And like we were saying, it's different. They have a different way of doing things. And I think they've kind of seen what was successful and what they did. Now they bring in that different element to college, and it works.
Let's pause for a second and just to take a moment and first thank everybody that's taking the time out of their Saturday afternoon to join us on this edition of Let's Rage Coogs. Like Chris mentioned a second ago, this is Let's Rage Coogs, the original Houston postgame show after each and every single football and men's basketball game, going back to 2022 during the Elite Eight run by the men's basketball team. And we also, so I'd like to say thank you to today's sponsors, beginning with Steve Saxenian, primary sponsor of this episode of LRC. Big shout out to him. And of course, also to Star Pizza with multiple locations throughout the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Check them out online at Star Pizza HOU on X and Star Pizza Houston, Texas on Instagram and online where you can order ahead of time, starpizza.net. A look at the final stats of the game real quick, not to transition too much, but Connor Wegman finished 21-31 passing in this game, 201 passing yards, threw for one passing touchdown, had the interception. Speaking of the broadcast, they brought up how, might have been a pass interference, didn't get called, and ultimately was a pick. Connor Wegman really killed Baylor on the ground. He had 121 rushing yards, which I believe is his new season high, career high, that he surpassed from just last week ago against TCU. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Really aggressive on the ground game. Amari Thomas had another stellar performance. Now 9 catches, 97 receiving yards, a touchdown. Ended the season scoring 4 straight touchdowns in 4 straight games, I should say. It's a really strong close to the year, to the regular season for Amari Thomas. Tanner Kojo had 7 catches, 59 yards. And when it comes to the running backs and the ground game, DJ Butler had a really good first half. They went away from him in the second half, only 10 carries for 53 yards. If I remember correctly, I think he had 47 of those 53 yards in the first half. Let me see if I
Did y'all talk about Connor and potential of him returning, or thoughts about him returning, or anything like that?
I saw that comment. Let me bring it up. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Here's the question by Joe Mendez: does Wegman stay or go? Or is this Henderson's team next season?
What were y'all thoughts? Just
we didn't answer it. We just we saw we didn't touch on it.
Oh, okay. Well, what do y'all think?
If I were Wegman and I was UH, I'd bring him back. I think he's definitely better than anyone else that they have currently behind. Head and shoulders better than anyone else currently behind.
We did see Austin Carlisle. Zion definitely can hit the portal, no question.
Right.
No disrespect.
I think bring Connor back.
I don't think Carlisle's ready for, to be QB1. I mean, granted, there's still a whole off season, and not to discredit his work ethic, but just based on what we've seen, and even in fall camp, I don't think he'll be there yet, and it'd be really hard to just throw Keyshawn Henderson in the fire right away as a true freshman. But if there's one player you're going to do that to, Keyshawn Henderson would be the one guy you'd want to do it. But I think it'd be smart to bring back Wegman and at least have him start throughout camp and spring ball and all the things. And shoot, if Henderson beats him out, he beats him out. But I think you got to bring him back.
Yeah, I agree. You got to bring him back, but regardless, the O-line has to improve. It has to get better. The tackles have to improve. They got to get better. And I agree with Andy. If Keyshawn beats him out, okay, but that's really rare. I know Keyshawn is an elite talent, but I'm not sure I'd want my 5-star quarterback starting game one unless injuries just damage everybody else. He wasn't the only option. I like to, build him into it. Connor's still playing well. He had a few moments of inconsistency down the stretch, but have Keyshawn learn from Connor, and then, year two, just take off. Because as good as this season was, and as the baseline has been set to go 9-3, next year, I think I'm going to be greedy. Next year could be a bridge to going 2 years from now, 1 loss or undefeated, with Keyshawn's second year in the program. So that's what I'm hanging my hat on. Connor ride it out, going 10-2 or better next year, and then 2 years from now, let's start winning national championships. Let's go for that. Put it at that level of expectation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think bring Connor back, Connor Wegman back for sure. And I was just looking up prominent names who started as true freshmen, and it's not really many. Trevor Lawrence, Vince Young, they start the full year, but he got some starts. Tim Tebow split time with Chris Leak as a freshman. But I think you bring Connor Wegman back, and I think you can expand the role for Austin Carlisle next year to give him a little bit more reps to see what you have there. And while Keyshawn um, gets settled into college, I don't want to put the um, expectation of start him as a true freshman. I think we let him get that college weight on him, get that college off season in the sense of um, being a scout teamer or just whatever you have him do, getting him ready for the college speed. And then when he's ready, he comes out like Chris said, maybe not next year or the year after that. It's his time. We give him the keys to the city, and it's time to take off. I definitely think you bring Connor back, a seasoned veteran who will have a senior year, have a year in the Big 12, a year at Houston. And I think his confidence would only grow, especially in another year, second consecutive year with the same offensive coordinator. I think would do volumes from him. He's had changed coordinators every single year, so I think that would do volumes for him. I think he comes back. He's showing the chemistry. That would be more enticing to bring Amari Thomas back, and so with a bit better line play, different skill for just different things like that. But I think you bring Connor back, and I think what we did here in year one, we can eclipse that, and I think we can do that next year. Honestly, with more consistent play from Connor.
Agreed, and bring him back. Now the retention of the players is going to be paramount, because you bring back the key players and you build upon that foundation of your key guys returning, and you add to that, then you're going to be better. You're more stable. Second year under the OC, expectations will be there. Which leads back to what Deion said minutes ago. You start promoting this team yesterday and start letting everybody know about Houston Cougars football for the 2026 season. We're going to be ready, improved. 9-3. Just wait till you see us next year. Year three under Coach Fritz. We're going to be rock and rolling. Come out and see us. Buy your tickets now. Get ready, because we're going to do this for you inside the stadium. We're going to have this for you in terms of family events for your kids and all those things. But come out and support the Cougs, and let's start making noise in the Big 12.
I think another thing that I'm seeing, me being in Dallas and what SMU is doing, is really, really playing into the Dallas culture. And Houston has so much culture that the young generation identifies with, that Houston, the school, has to do a better job of marketing and tapping into that culture. Now, Austin used that as a tool to market. I mean, I remember Coach what was his name? Coach Herman. Coach Herman. Herman. What's his last name?
Tom Herman.
Tom Herman. Coach Herman. He did a great job of that. He went and got a grill. I don't want Coach Fritz to get a grill, but we can do a partnership with grills and let a lot of our players wear grills. Just different things, elements like that can entice these younger generation to even come here more. You get what I'm saying? And so,
Sure.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff that we can do. Bring TV Johnny to the school, and there's a lot of things that we can do. And Coach Fritz need a great.
I mean, just hear you talk down. It just popped in. Dude, grab 5 players, send a camera with them, and record them going to go get a grill. And there you go. You have
Yes,
content for the YouTube, you have content for
yes.
social media, and then you have in a way, you're
No,
promoting the
no, no.
program
Better
and you're
yet,
promoting the
better yet.
players.
Send Andy with those 5 players to go get that grill and record it and put it on Let's Rage Coogs and the UA's website and
Sure, it could be
Instagram.
an NIL deal too. Whatever the company is that they're getting the grill, it's the business, right? It's a win-win for everybody involved.
Which ties into, Andy, if you want to advertise on Let's Rage Coogs,
Yep.
and help make that happen. If you want to be part of the next NIL deal with Andy, LRC, and grills and football players, email letsragecoogs@gmail.com.
All lowercase, no extra symbols. letsragecoogs@gmail.com. Get it done. And content. One person once said content is king. Can never have too much content. Ultimately, it's exposure for the program, for the players, and with your business partners. So just, I mean, shoot, we just came up with it in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, I see. Pop, bring up the question.
the one from
question.
Taylor.
Yep. Why don't we have sports segments on the local news channels every week? Great question. I think it's obsolete. Joe Mendez, that's where I was going right there. The program needs us because
We the new media.
that's where I'm
media.
going. We are the new media.
Yeah.
We are. Now you can say it too because it's true. Local sports news broadcasts
are dwindling.
Even they do more online than they do the 30-minute windows nightly, because online is where it's at. But you go to the Chronicle website, there is a Longhorn section. There is not a Cougs section. There's a college section, I think a Rocket section, and I think an Astro section, but there's not a Cougs section. I've heard the excuses that I've heard was, well, the Longhorns spend more money in terms of advertising. You guys don't advertise with us. Y'all don't spend enough money here at the Chronicle. Okay, if that's true, then spend that money here on Let's Rage Coogs. Spend it here. We'll make your dollars work. We got so many ideas. Because we could do Let's Rage Coogs. It doesn't have to be just daily. We could do updates throughout the day about the football team, the basketball team, the baseball team, the softball team throughout the year. Because we are, as Deion said, my brother said it, we are the new media. And that's reality. This concludes my TED Talk.
I will also, to put the bow on it, Chris, going back to Taylor's original comment, but you got to also mention, like, in terms of new media, traditional media, like, they are just dwindling. Like, it seems like every day, every week, every month, their sports segments are just getting shorter. And like you said, it is relying on social media. You're having individual people that still work at traditional newscasts. They're going to YouTube because that's how they're, it's all about brand. They have to make their own brand because 1 minute, 2 minute newscasts at the end of 6 o'clock news isn't going to cut it. And you got to adapt. You got to be adaptable, and you got to go to where the transition is occurring. You want to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah. And I think we're doing that. We're with our new platform. We like what we're doing, and we're learning. We got more ideas in store for 26 with this new platform. Just advertise with Let's Rage Coogs, advertise with the Houston Round Ball Review, and help us grow, because we really onward and upward with both. Because all of us, we've you guys know it because you guys are dedicated supporters and viewers of Let's Rage Coogs. But all three of us are alums and proud alums of the University of Houston. And we want to see athletics excel in all the sports. It's not just football and basketball. It's great. But I would love for, I don't know, whatever the conference cup is for the Big 12, but I'd love for Brett Yormark to hand Andy Yanez the Commissioner's Cup, because Houston Athletics won everything or finished top 2 in everything and won the most points because athletics was dominant in every sport. That's what I want. I want it to get to a point where people outside of Houston Athletics, damn, they won again? Man, they always win. How come we're not like them anymore? They're winning in football and basketball, men's and women's basketball. They're winning in softball. They're winning in track. They're just doing everything. Yeah, that's what I want. If it pisses some folks off, I want to say this, and I hope that it doesn't come back to bite me in the butt. But today's win by the Cougs over Baylor football is going in the opposite direction than Houston football. Houston football is on the upswing. And I think the Baylor AD lost some more support when she just announced she's bringing back the football coach for another year. So, kids, if it comes down to Baylor or UH recruiting you, come to UH. H-Town kids, if both programs are recruiting you, the choice should be easy for you now. You can stay in Houston, because we're going up and they're not.
They're trying to figure it out. You have a fan base that doesn't support their head coach. Had the whole mess with Rhodes stepping down.
But let's take advantage of their downward trajectory, or we're going on our upward trajectory. Take advantage of this momentum and start marketing yesterday football for 26.
That being said, Chris, they just sent out we don't have any post-game video yet, which, again, if you would like to sponsor and, have post-game coverage, feel free to reach out at richcoogs@gmail.com. But they sent out the final stats of the regular season, and obviously they show the totals from the year. Now we have obviously the full regular season sample size to go off. So interesting to look at some of the leaders when it comes to receiving. I mean, no surprise here. Amari Thomas led Houston in receiving, 906 total receiving yards on the season, finished with 10 total touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, I should say. Tanner Kojal led the team in receptions. Amari Thomas had 59 receptions for 906 yards. Tanner Kojal had 65 receptions for 651 receiving yards. Connor Wegman, he finished the year averaging he was 63% on his passes, had 206 passing yards per game, 21 total passing touchdowns, and he finished with 9 interceptions on the year. Let me find the rushing numbers in a second. Total offense, rushing plays, Connor Wegman, 644 rushing yards. Dean Connors led the way with 851 rushing yards, and those were the two head and shoulders leaders when it came to Houston rushing. DJ Butler was third with 280. Let's see here. And then total sacks, tackles. Let me see.
Andy's looking for the stats.
5.5. Well, last one. Eddie Walls, the third, led Houston in sacks. 5.5 sacks on the year. Brandon Mack right behind him, 5 sacks on the year total for Houston.
But I'm hoping one of our colleagues, I'm assuming one of our colleagues was there for the game and did post-game video. But it's part of the new media. Joseph Duarte, colleague I've known for hell, probably Andy's life, is at the Chronicle. But the Chronicle, that's part of old media. So the Chronicle and old media are just now starting to embrace video and podcasting. We were doing that 3 years ago. Okay, so my last point that I want to make to the Les Rage Coogs family and Coug Nation. I've sensed your pain and frustration with the Chronicle and the lack of coverage to Houston athletics. But I'm asking you, if you have been frustrated with the lack of coverage from the Chronicle, to embrace us with Les Rage Coogs and help us do more coverage of football and men's basketball. And at some point, Dan and I, probably doing conference play, we'll start doing some LRC shows for women's basketball. So there are different ways. We are the new media. So embrace us and help you grow as well.
We can even do a Let's Rage Coogs fan segment to entice kids and students to get to the game and grant them, like, this is our Let's Rage Coogs section. Put that as a real video weekly. There's so many different things that we could do. We got the ideas. So we've talked about how to reach us, and we're open. Cougs support Cougs.
Indeed, there you go. Cougs support Cougs. And the thing about Tanner Koziel, kudos to TCU last week. But from an offensive mind, an offensive standpoint, I am not going to let the opponent take one of my best players away. I am going to scheme ways to get him the ball. I don't care. They were double teaming him. Okay, that's fine. Well, we're going to call some things to free him up in space. You are not going to take my best players out of this game. Now, from a defensive perspective, it's the opposite. It's like Coach Sampson or anybody in football as well. We're going to scheme ways to take their best player out of the game. And then it'll be up to that team to figure out ways to get him open. But from a Coug perspective, there should not be games when my best players don't get the ball. So that's on the OC. Figure it out. Make the adjustments, be the aggressors, and get it done.
What a year for Koziel as well. I think he'll be playing on Sundays, and I think the way we, just in totality, we utilized our tight end can even entice us to get better tight ends. Remember, in years past, we really didn't even use the tight end.
Yes.
And so I think having that threat in the middle of the field and even outside can free up even some more space for our receivers. Outside of Maury Thomas, we left a lot of yards out there on deep passes, whether it's drops or missed inaccuracy. So it's a lot of more offensively. And I think if Connor returns, that the offense could be even a little bit more explosive in the passing game. But like Chris was saying, we got to utilize our weapons. And not allow a defense to take them out, because we know that's their game plan, because they wouldn't be our number one go-to player if they weren't that. And so even if you want him to draw two, that should draw single coverage from other receivers. And so it's a lot of ways that I think just going forward, another year in the system, that we can get a lot better, a lot more explosive.
Continuity will help for them next year too. Yeah, just in terms of obviously the year one under Willie Fritz, that play calling was abysmal. They had to get rid of that OC, and now hopefully whatever players they do retain, the big one's gonna be Amari Thomas. Like they whatever it takes. I don't know who's the leader of NIL for Houston, but Amari Thomas needs to be priority. You cannot lose him like we have in years past. Some of the top receivers from Houston get plucked away by those bigger programs, and that if you want to be the top tier, that next stratosphere, that next level of college football programs, you got to pay your top guys, and he showed it. I think eventually he's going to be playing on Sundays, and if you want to be a really good program next year, he's going to be a key piece. So whatever it takes, whoever's the head of the table, whatever, hopefully multiple businesses, right? Multiple people are the head of the table when it comes to NIL at U of H, but he definitely should be one of your top priorities when it comes to UH football NIL.
And we have legacy at receiver, so that's something that should be marketed as well. I mean, you look at the lineage of receivers that came through Houston and made it to the NFL. I mean, Tank Dell is the latest, but you go with the years before him, and so I mean, I think he's that next one, and begin to start to market him with the way he finishes his touchdowns in 4 consecutive games, double-digit touchdowns. It's a lot of ways that we could even market him to help build his brand, to help get him even more NILs, to get him to be able to stay.
And both my brothers make a great point because if we want, bottom line, excuse me, if we want, we're saying all this as a program that we want to compete for conference championships. We want to be ultimately compete for national championships. You want to be one of the big dogs. Well, you got to act like it. You got to start paying your best players. You got to retain your best players. You got to start doing that. You got to start thinking outside the box. That's one thing Coach Sampson said for a couple of years now. You got to start thinking outside the box in terms of keeping your best players. You got to start thinking outside the box when it comes to marketing and reaching out to the new media, not the old media, the new media. And Cougs helping Cougs, and all of us want to see UH succeed. But keeping Amari Thomas, I'm kind of borrowed from Dayon, should have been done yesterday.
Definitely. Big time. Well, once again, final box score, Houston comes away with the 31-24 victory over the Baylor Bears. They had to, I mean, they clutched up at the end. They had to go drive down the field, score a touchdown after Baylor rallied and tied it 24-0. And then the defense had to step up to the plate and force a turnover on downs, which is what they did. And then UH was able to put the final nail in the coffin by picking up a first down and ultimately end the season 9-3 in the year. We're going to wait to see what bowl game they get sent to and who their opponent is. So there's one more postseason, one more bowl game left when it comes to the 2025 Houston Cougars football team, which we say right now on air. We will be live after that game, whenever it may be, whoever the opponent might be. So if you're interested in advertising for the post-bowl game, Let's Rage Coogs, you can do so by reaching out, letsragecoogs@gmail.com. In the meantime, we'll say thank you to Steve Saxenian for being the primary sponsor of this edition of Let's Rage Coogs. Big thank you to him for being the primary sponsor each and every single post-game show, both men's basketball and football. And of course, we also like to say thank you to Mike and Jennifer Pittman with Star Pizza for being right there with us, supporters each game in and game out, both for football and men's basketball this year. Check out Star Pizza, various locations throughout the Houston area. I've mentioned it. I'll say it one more time. Star Pizza HOU on X. Star Pizza Houston, Texas on Instagram. They do good NIL deals with some of the players. With football, I know they have a lot of content with Austin Carlisle. Shoot, Chris and I have done a commercial for them. They have really good pizza, really good food. So check them out online, starpizza.net. You can see their menu. You can order online, order ahead. And they just have really good food. And they're supporting Cougs. Cougs helping Cougs. They've done a lot when it comes to NIL since it became a thing. And they were one of the first ones when it came to U of H NIL. So support them, Cougs supporting Cougs. And again, big thank you to everybody that took their time out of their Saturday afternoon to join us following Houston's victory over Baylor.
And wrap it up, I'll go and then Dan close us out. There's still opportunities to be an advertiser or sponsor of the bowl game for the Cougs. There's still opportunities to advertise for the Big 12 tournament. If you want to be bold, if you're big, if you have the means and the funds for a Big 12 women's tournament and the Big 12 men's tournament. If you want to do both, you can do that. And there's still opportunities to advertise for the Cougs run in the postseason in the NCAA tournament. So help us grow, help us expand. We are new media, and we got plans for 26, onward and upward. Subscribe to Paul Samajema on YouTube. Subscribe to the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. Y'all know it. I'm going to say it again. If you're new to the show, thank you. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective.
Since 1994, if you ain't know, 2002, because we true. Let's Raise Coogs, the #1 original post-game show for all Houston athletics. like Chris just said, we're looking to expand to women's college basketball for the girls. So if you want to partner with us with that, reach out to Rage Coogs or Houston Roundball Review. And what a way to end the season, man. I think I can't remember what my prediction was at the end. I meant to text you guys to pull up our prediction so we could have had that on screen. That'd have been another talking point. But we'll do that after the ball game. We'll save that for after the ball game, see how we finish. But hats off to Coach Fritz, man. Year two, doing what he has done throughout his entire career, proven winner, and he's turned this program around fully. Not only do we expect to compete, now he's setting the expectation to expect to win. Now it's to have to set the expectation to expect to win Big 12 championships to get into that playoff. And I think he's building the right buzz. He's trying to lock down the city. We got number one player in the state coming to Houston.